Access Definitiv has been uniquely designed to support the challenges faced within a highly regulated and dynamic mining industry. From its flexible award engine, automating complex enterprise agreements, its dynamic multi-level project costing structure, allowing for accurate job costings and labour cost management, through to its comprehensive employee self-service experience, empowering staff with control and visibility of their own data. I've got the ability to use a pre-built template, so you can have predefined experiences based on the type of employee that you're onboarding, maybe based on the role they're performing, the kind of employee that they are, potentially where they're working. And this can have built into it all of the policies and induction details related to that type of employee, but it can also have attached to it the compliance requirements. So based on this employee being a heavy plant operator, there's going to be certain licenses, qualifications and tickets that we require from that individual. What that means for the end user is they receive a dedicated invitation to complete their onboarding. They don't need to create a profile at this stage. They simply follow that link in an email. And this is that dedicated portal where it's going to take them through reviewing any documents that we've made available to them. So the policies, procedures, fair work statements, but we can also attach contracts into here. I can add my electronic signature there. Same with anything that needs acknowledging. Then we get through to the payroll onboarding. So there's no manual lifting and shifting required from the payroll team. They can very easily collect, we validate and submit that data. Now, a real key area of Definitiv is the granular costing structure that we've got that sits against employees. As standard, we've got a 4-tiered costing dimension of locations, departments, projects, and roles. Employees can be split across multiple costing dimensions. So for example, reporting perspective, we've got very detailed costing down to an individual job on an individual day. We've also got highly configurable work schedules where they've got a 3-week rotating cycle, a 2-and-1 swing. We can set and load that into the system. That means it's an ongoing rolling work schedule. The employee can easily project their entitlements because the system can predict when they're working. Now, another major thing within the mining industry is the need for compliance. So employees' safety and our compliance as a business to be accurate. And with that, we've got all of the compliance that was collected as part of the onboarding. So Definitiv is tracking this information and tracking those expiry dates. The key thing within here is the fact that we're able to see true payroll costs per shift, per day, and per rostered period. And the fact that these are true payroll costs is because this is an all-in-one workforce management and payroll solution. We've also got the system calling out where there's issues with specific shifts. So for example, if an employee is unavailable to work a shift, for example, or potentially they're not compliant to work a specific shift, these are the kind of things that the rosters within Definitiv are going to support your organisation with managing and ensuring that we are compliant moving forward. So the Definitiv app is the app that lives on employees' personal phones. They simply access that by using the security of their phone. So I've used my facial recognition there. Now I've got the opportunity to select time clock, and this is going to allow me to clock in for my shift. So using my own phone, I can come and say, yeah, I'm starting my shift and I'm going to be working on equipment maintenance when I clock in there. And you'll see that it'll simply drop a pin on a map where I am as and when I clock in for that shift. We can allow employees to clock in from anywhere if we want to. We can also restrict the location of where they can clock in using geofence locations. Now, for a lot of sites, they're in very remote locations where internet coverage probably isn't readily available. Now, that's not an issue with Access Definitiv. These apps are designed to work offline. Everything we expect employees to interact with is available on the mobile. So I'm able to come through and apply for leave. I've of course got my payslips. So as soon as you process a pay run, those payslips are available to employees. Now, from a manager's perspective, they're going to have all of the pending transactions that they need to approve. So I've got all my timesheets that I need approving here. I've also got the ability to bulk approve as well. So we've got daily dashboards that help managers see who's scheduled to work today, who's clocked on, who's not clocked on, so we can highlight if there's any concerns. Do we need to reach out to an employee and ensure they're okay? Now we'll go and explore the payroll outputs of Access Definitiv. So that starts with the award interpretation, how the system interprets the timesheet data that we've just seen submitted, and then actually how a pay run is processed and the clarity and visibility that we give during that payroll processing. Here is where we define our structure, we create our roles, locations, departments, and we've got that project management piece as well. So we can come and manage specific projects, and you'll see all of the configuration and all of the rules that we can assign to a specific project. But here I can define specific awards, pay rates, or work restrictions related to anybody who's working against this project. And then we have our award policies. So these are the awards or the payroll rules that underpin the Definitiv solution. So it's these rules that defined the projected costs we saw within the roster. And it's also these rules that are going to be producing the pay outcomes when we come to processing payroll. We often find within the mining industry that enterprise agreements are prominent. Enterprise agreements often go through periods of renegotiation, and often as part of that renegotiation, there'll be a backdated agreement applied to that. Definitiv is very flexible in terms of its award engine capabilities, and we're not governed or stuck simply by modern awards. We build awards out per client during the implementation by understanding the awards relevant to the business and understanding their interpretation of the awards, which can often be very different to another business's interpretation. You'll see they're created using if-then statements. So my ifs are the conditions, the scenarios that we're looking to identify. So you can see how we have different outcomes based on different scenarios. And Definitiv can look at loads of different scenarios, whether it be different types of day, different types of employees, different types of shifts that are being worked. We can configure different outcomes for all of these individual scenarios. And you can manage these awards yourself if you wish to, without having to consult the Access group for support. So if something doesn't seem right, we can always trace it back to why has the system calculated this? So I'm paying from the 4th of November. I'm going to pay them today, and I pay superannuation on the last Friday of the month. So that's collated all my fortnightly paid staff, and I simply hit calculate. Definitiv is now taking all of those timesheets submitted between the 4th and the 17th of November, pushing them through the associated award and segregating those hours across the various ordinary time, overtime, pay items. The system also looks outside of this pay period. So looking before the 4th of November, have there been any changes that have happened that's going to affect a previous pay run or a pay calculation? Thinking about those back payments due to pay increases, potentially those retrospective award increases that the system's now calculating those back payments for us within here. I can see here an overview of what my employees are being paid, and should we need to drill into any more information, we can simply open employees pay up, and we'll then be able to see the accruals, the pays, the allowances and the deductions that make up their total take home. We do have a details tab, and that details tab is where we can see a transactional breakdown of all of the calculations and payments that the system's making per employee. Now, just like any other report within Definitiv, you can manipulate this data. So if I group by pay item, I can actually drill into, well, which days did this employee actually get paid double time? I can see the project they were working, the role they were performing, the work order that they were working against when that overtime was submitted. I can see the pay rate, the award, and even the line of the award that produced that payment for us. Now, we've got a host of reports within Definitiv looking at HR, payroll, and time and attendance. Now, where we differ from more traditional payroll systems is we can actually get job costing down to a day due to the fact that we're date driven, and we can run these reports per date. Now we're ready to finalize our pay run, verify the details, and go ahead and submit that STP declaration.